In this video, I want to talk about why everyone's broke and what it takes to overcome it and get out of that state of being broke and having a lack of abundance or whatever it is you're searching for. Now, everyone goes through this. I've gone through this myself, and it becomes a recurring cycle. How many times do people overextend themselves? You get a job, then you start buying things based on what your income is. It's called the lifestyle creep. It's every time you get a raise, you start buying more stuff, more fancier things. And it's a way to waste money just so you can live a better quality of life. Now, there's nothing wrong with living a quality life, but it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to overextend. I've seen it multiple times where people, they buy a car they don't need. How often you can buy a truck now that's worth like 80, 90,000 and your income supports it, but now you have to pay this car note for the next 5, 6, 7 years. And then on top of that, you're paying interest. Now, fortunately for me, I haven't had that experience to buy a car and be overextended, but it's one more bill you have to pay for. Cost of living is already rising pretty high, and utilities are going up. Groceries are becoming expensive. The cost of like internet and all these other software programs to watch TV and watch movies, they become more expensive every single year. And it becomes a challenge, right? Especially when like you're stuck at a job and you have a job that only gives you like a 3% raise each year or 4% raise, but everything around you, the prices are raising by anywhere from 7 to 10%, sometimes 15%. Now, how does it make for a life? Yeah, temporarily it looks cool. Temporarily it's nice. Temporarily it's fun. But at what cost? And the cost is having the sustainability and prolonging the quality of life in the future. Now, for me, I've had the situation of being at a job for a really long time and looking at how things are going in that job. It was a great experience becoming a manager, being a leader in an organization. But the problem is when you start looking at the taxes and everything they take out of your paycheck, the Social Security, the disability, part of the benefits, they all keep increasing. And after a while, you realize how much time you're working for free. Like with taxes, that's almost 25, 30%. So what that means is like for every year you work, 3 to 4 months, you're working to pay those taxes. You're working essentially for free for that time. And it becomes a challenge. It becomes a frustration that you're working and the time that you're devoting to this is getting used to pay someone else. Now, does that seem fair? I don't think it does. I think it's a frustration. Now, I do believe that some of these things should be used to go take care of the things around us, all right? Such as like the police departments, the ambulances, the hospitals. But for the most part, most of it is just wasted tax dollars. How effective is this? Now, with that, you combine everything that you've purchased, the fancy clothes, the cars, the nice house, the going out to dinners, that all adds up. It kills the lifestyle. Yeah, you can live fine for a short amount of time, but how long can you keep that up? One of the things that most people don't account for is what happens if you lose that job. They're already overextended on what their income is. And the biggest thing to that is because people don't know how to manage debt. Debt is probably one of the worst things you could have if you don't know how to leverage it correctly. Now, debt is good when you use it to create more income, but having all these credit card bills just so you can live a fancy lifestyle, it creates a slavery mindset of going out, looking great, but now you have this bill you're a slave to and you got to work to go pay it off. Right? You're living a life ahead of what you're actually currently making. And this is a trap that gets everyone stuck. I've experienced it myself, being in the 20s and my 30s, where I want to live like a king. I want to live a lavish lifestyle, great flights, great travels, great food, expensive alcohol to tell myself like, oh, I made it. When in actuality, I'm just digging a hole deeper. Now, I came to this realization after I lost my job, and there's nothing wrong with that. Luckily, I have investments. Luckily, I have savings. And this is the one thing that actually helped me be able to position myself and transition into what I'm going through now, which is creating businesses, creating opportunities for myself, because I realized that I don't want to be a slave to someone else's systems. I want to create a system that actually provides me with a fulfilling life. Because after all these years, I realized that being broke is a mindset. It's not a bank account number. And I want to have my bank account in, hypothetically, in terms of my spirituality, my mindset, and also my actual savings account to be really big. That means I have to live a certain way. And so what I've done is, first thing is eliminate all the debts. I've always believed in purchasing my cars, cash, no debt. But at the same time, I'm not always buying a new car. I drive a 2005 Silverado. It's 20 years old. It runs like a champ. It's my daily driver. It's the best car I could have. And it's easy to maintain. I do all the work myself, so now I don't have to pay a mechanic hundreds of dollars when it would only take me $100 in parts and an hour of my time to fix it. Now, is this an impressive truck to take the ladies out or whoever it is and to show other people? Maybe not. But people always call me, hey, Leo, can we use your truck? I gotta move something. Oh, now you want my help, all right? I look at things now in terms of usefulness and utility rather than presentation and showing a certain lifestyle. Is this something do I need in my life? And I'm not going to purchase something that is not necessary anymore. So with that type of mindset, it actually allows me to not waste money. I'm not buying stupid stuff. I'm not burning the $100 bills. I'm actually trimming my expenses. The more I trim my expenses, it shows me the more I can build in my savings and the more I can extend if something worse happens, because anything could happen. So I eliminated the debts. Don't buy cars on a finance. And then at the same time, even in one of my real estate properties, I rent out all the rooms. So it helps me offset a lot of the expenses on the mortgage. Now, I understand most people in today's world, the renters, it's difficult to buy homes, especially here in the Bay Area where I live. But it is an opportunity to actually build an equity, build savings. If you're able to do, one of the things is always just saving. I always pay myself first. And that's probably the first step that everyone should know. Pay off your debts, then after that, start paying yourself. Or vice versa. You could pay yourself first, then pay off your debts, which I really like as well. And that actually gave me the opportunity to create a nest egg that gives me that buffer, like I said, but it created more opportunities of investment. Now, the most important resources that I have is time. And so when I'm looking at what it means to be broke and what it means to live a life of abundance, it's in relation to time. It's not money, because money is a byproduct of the time I leverage. Now, I understand that people are stuck in jobs, and how can someone create more side hustles, more business outside of that to increase their income? It comes to using the time, right? There's time before work, there's time after work. Now, I'm not suggesting that, or the only way is to actually create a job. That is the way that I'm choosing at this moment, to create a job or create a business that fulfills my time and what my needs and my requirements and the quality of life I want to live and the life I want to have balanced out in terms of the professional and growth side, but also the relationship and community building. Now, for other people, it might just be working more overtime. And that's okay if you want to do that, but you got to understand your job doesn't care about you. I've been in healthcare for 18 years and I just got laid off because I got injured. Now, how does that feel to give everything you have to a particular career just to be cast aside like nothing? At the same time, you're only getting a certain percentage of annual raises, which doesn't even match inflation. Then on top of that, 30–40% of that is taken out to pay for taxes to a government that may waste it or may not waste it. And this is not an attack on the government. It's just what it looks like from a personal budget standpoint. Now, how does that feel? Looking at it from an individual's perspective, when you're trying to bust your ass to get ahead, it's hard, right? It can be hard. So what do? You maximize your income and you reduce your expenses, trim the fat. It's not necessary to buy the fancy clothes, the cars. Don't have the credit card debt, get out of it. Don't owe people money. And then once you have enough of that gap between your expenses going down and your income coming up, save that money and then take a portion of that and start investing in it. Investing is one of the tools I really like because I could leverage the time I had to make money and then use that money to make more money. For me, I think the purpose of money is to make more money, and the purpose of time is to leverage money so it can make more money, if that makes sense. If it's confusing, then tag it down below and I could definitely explain a little bit more. But for me, it all comes down to understanding that broke is a mindset. It's not a state of being. And the way you handle yourself, the way you discipline yourself, the way you commit to what you do on an internal side, it'll show up on how you commit to your budgetary side. So with that, I'll check you out later and be easy.